somebody's got some crypto now. I assume that you're not taking things offshore to do any of this trust. This is all domestic trusts,
Correct.
And there's also all the questions about capital gains and short-term capital gains and wash sales and things that really haven't been clarified by not only the SEC but the IRS and the CFTC. So let's talk a little bit about crypto and the amount of wealth that's been amassed and how you can help those people as well.
Yeah, so first of all, there's about $2.5 to $3 trillion, depending on who you talk with, in crypto worldwide. That's a massive amount of wealth. And a lot of our crypto clients that are approaching us, and we'll tell you about some closed deal stories, they're struggling with capital gains tax because it's massive amount of gains. I think I think Bitcoin has appreciated 192,000% over the last 12 years, something crazy, right? And
best
so the
performing asset in history.
Yeah, and so if you look at one of our clients, she worked for Google, used to. She bought Bitcoin, about $30,000 to $50,000 worth at a very, very early adoption state. And she never sold until she met us. And in fact, that value went to $50 million. She said, I cashed out a little bit and bought a Tesla. That was the one thing she did. And she goes, but I don't want to pay any tax, Brett. And she goes, and more than that, I don't necessarily work for Google anymore, right? And I want to start a business venture with my college roommate. We've always had a dream to educate people, kind of like a Khan Academy online. And very smart, very sophisticated. And so she looked at the Deferred Sales Trust after lots of due diligence as a way to not only defer the capital gains tax, which is about $1.85 million. She's out of California, but also to be entrepreneur with the capital. And so with the IRS and crypto, with the Deferred Sales Trust, it's not offshore. Everything is U.S. tax code, and everything is in U.S. banks, and everything is reported, right? It's showing the IRS, I actually exited $5 million. Yeah. And my basis was about zero, but here I'm reporting on an installment sale method with my CPA, and I'm reporting that I exited, but I took no gain. I'm in a deferral state, and the trust itself is filing a tax return, and it's stating that it got it for $5 million or bought it for $5 million, but it also sold it for $5 million, and therefore it has no gain. And how we did this, by the way, is through Kraken, if you're wondering. Kraken has been wonderful, like a Coinbase. We set up a Deferred Sales Trust Kraken account. We had her transfer the Bitcoin to the new Deferred Sales Trust Kraken account. Transfers the keyword. She didn't sell it. She transferred it. Then the trust itself gave her a promissory note for that amount, and then it sold it to cash immediately, and then it exited to a U.S. bank. And that's how, with the trust account. So it's all set up properly. So that's the one deal. The second one was for an Ethereum client, mostly Ethereum, some Bitcoin. He and his wife, his name's Peter. He and his wife working like 67-hour weeks in the tech industry for 20 years. She's an attorney, 2 kids. They want to travel. And they're like, man, we got all this crypto. And so they bought it for about $100,000 and it went to $13.5 million. But this was ups and downs. These are like roller coasters over the years.
Yeah.
And she wanted to sell at like 6. He finally said, okay, but let's figure out a tax deferral strategy before we do that. So they compromised. But by the time they looked, the values dropped back down to like 1, right? So like, they were crushed. And so this was like the whole roller coaster. So fast forward, they found us. They used the Deferred Sales Trust. He's retired from his company, and he wants to start a crypto company with the trust funds. They want to buy a house in Tahoe, like most people do, right on the lake, right? Lake Tahoe, that is, for those who are wondering. And
on the Nevada side.
Yeah, on the Nevada side, smart, Incline Village, right? So they exited $7.5 million of that $13 million. Okay, first of all, it was $5 million, and it was a Saturday. It was actually the first deal that's ever closed in the Deferred Sales Trust cryptocurrency history. And I'm driving, and he's like, Brett, Ethereum just passed the 3,000 mark last night. Are you available? He's so kind. I'm like, yeah, I'm available. Let's do this, right? He's like, are you buy a Starbucks? And it's like the codes, or everything's, it's authenticated and backed up. We did a test run already for $50, so everything's safe and secure. Yeah. But it's like I have the launch codes, right? And I'm like, okay, ready to go. He's like, okay, there's 250,000. Okay, there's 750. Okay, in the next hour, he transferred $5 million. I'm like, we should write a book on this, Peter. This is hilarious. Like, what are 2 guys that are completely didn't know each other that are now connected because the tax man is he's real and he's there and he's ready to take his amount if we don't use these things. But because we follow the system, the process, we've deferred the tax. He's really happy. We're really happy. Everybody wins. By the way, the IRS wins too, Mark, because guess what? He was able to exit at a high price. The money has been poured into, for him, it's been stocks, bonds, mutual funds, conservative investments there. And that's going to spur economic growth, right? And that people are wondering, like, are we doing something that the IRS doesn't want us to do? No, these are the codes that they've put in place for us to follow. Right. And they're incentivizing him to exit high, to diversify, and to spur economic growth. Hopefully that increases jobs, right? And creates some real income for the tax income for the IRS too.